I mean, that's what we were worried about, right? Just seeing how good the Inferno-style teams have been over the last little bit. It seems like they're picking up right where they left off. Just... I'm personally struggling a little bit to get a feed going here. My apologies. Chat's calling out that their mic might be actually muted. So another thing as well, unfortunately. Yeah, there was a handful of things that happened during that game, that's for sure. In regards to the with Nariba, apparently there was just straight up a power outage. It just hit their area. Thankfully, it was very quick, but obviously brutal timing. Unfortunate that, granted, they were still able to build the team that they wanted, but it took so much health damage in the process, right? But Slick, Sota, Hasu, all of them absolutely completely on point. Good on them for being able to perform there. And it's still very, very early. A couple of our players that did have a strong run in game one didn't necessarily have it in game two. So it should still be, once we get these scores up, it should be a very, very close battle.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry for the technical issues, everyone. We are back. We were able to catch the final moment where Slicks beats Sota. I'm just going to go over it one more time. So, yeah, we have Slicks here in first with Sota both rocking the boomerang. And then we have Detective LNA in 7th place, being too heavily contested by the other two players. Both of our rogue players are in the bottom 4 as well, which is surprising. So we definitely can see a little bit of a shift in meta from yesterday. It's not so loosey-goosey anymore. It is very much cookie cutter, straight to business, trying to play the best that they can think of, which seems to be Rogue and the Boomerang at the moment. But there is always the odd one out. We have seen Amafishi succeed in game number 1 with the water deck, so I think we're gonna be up for a lot of surprises here in the next few games.
Exactly. I still don't want to necessarily lock in on really anything else being like overpowered, so to speak. I think the only thing that's kind of close right now would be the Inferno Arcanites, but everything else, like, there is a handful of other things that can very well still win. Like we were talking on earlier with the Steam Harbinger, that was still very strong from game number 1. We're even seeing Toxic Aegis finding multiple decent finishes here. We saw in the first game, saw in the second one here as well. Rogues are in an interesting spot, though. I gave them a lot more credit, I think, than maybe I should have. I thought that they were going to be the dominating force here in the tournament this week, and that has not actually turned out to be the case. They're solid, but I would not say that they're dominating by any means. If anything, multiple people going for it actually makes it so they wreck each other instead of actually having one that performs and one that ends up faltering. It's an interesting little dynamic here, and I'm just happy that we do have at least a little bit of variance here in terms of team comps.
Yes, definitely, and there's a lot of variance in how these players play these team comps as well, depending on which drone augments you get, or augments itself, and so on. And even stuff like the region will determine how you exactly play your team. It's not... It's very... I know someone who tried to make a bot just for fun, not for any malicious intent, but they said it was so hard to design someone that can actually play the game good, but because every game is so different, it's not like you can, like we had before in the Ascendant Arena, where you can apply pretty much the same positioning and everything in the same way. I think the team has done a great job bringing variety into every single game. As we see the top 8 players here, with Slicks leading the charge with 14 points, closely followed by Amafishi with 13. Then we got Hologini and Hasu both sitting at 11 points. And then we got Sota at 8 now, which is a huge comeback from his 1 point that he had before. We got Detective Align on 6, Dr. Spoon on 5, and Nariba on 4. So I don't think there is big outliers yet, and everybody is still very close together. Everything is still very possible for all of these players.
Yeah, still very close, but being told here, at least from the back end, that there are four of our 8, 4 players could very well make it into the checkmate position, depending on certain results. Of course, that being Slicks, I'm a Fishy, Lamborghini, and Hasu could also do this too. So it is still very, very close. The fact that there's so many players within striking distance already is very exciting. But again, you can get into checkmate, but then you actually need to get the win in that final game in order for it to truly count and for the actual event to be over. So we still got a long ways to go.
Exactly. And just to make it more specific, so Hasu and Holo, both at 11 points, need a win to get 19 points to then be in checkmate position. Everything else, they will still need more. So if Holo and Hasu want to win it in the next 2 games, they need 2 wins back-to-back, at which point they deserve to win this tournament. And then on the other side of things, Slicks only needs 5 points. So only needs a 4th place position to get into checkmate, if I'm correct. And then Amafishi only needs a 3rd place to get into checkmate, check position. And then to attempt to checkmate.
Yeah, the early consistency that they're showing is definitely going to pay off for them to at least get into the right position. But then, like I was saying before, you still got to execute on that last one.
Yes, sir. All right, the players are loading in a second, and we are going to get ready for game number 3. So who's going to get in checkmate? I think there could be 3 players in checkmate, but only if Lamborghini and or Hasu win this. Who of the bottom players do you think is very much underperforming and should be in the top 4, actually? Who do we see bring a big upset here? Is Sota gonna continue his underdog story from a loss into a win, or how's this gonna turn out, do you think?
Well, I think based off of his current position, the only thing that I would say would be an underperformance was just the fact that Sota got 8th in the first game. That's the biggest outlier. Like, I can understand with everybody else having, say, like a 5th or 6th or something along those lines. Nariba, given how the qualifiers went, where they were always within like one of those last 2 spots to move on up, arguably like positionally and maybe even collection score wise, like based off of their levels and stats on their alluvials, might be having the harder time in this one. Like where Nariba is, that doesn't necessarily surprise me. But Sota having that really rough game number 1 is surprising me, because I think that they should probably, in theory, at least be in that top 4 right now and pushing for or even if they're 5th, they'd be in a spot where if they won a game that they could get it themselves into checkmate relatively early. That's where I thought that they would be. It's not necessarily the case, but again, just took 1 game to warm up, and now they're already back and getting a 2nd place. So it's not like they've completely like shot down. It was just 1 rough outlier, but otherwise I don't really see any other major outliers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I'm excited to see how players are going to be performing here in game number 3 in the grand finals of the Motorverse Cup. Again, there is $50,000 prize pool on the line. First place gets 15,000. Second place, 8,000. So, and then it goes down all the way down to last place, 2,250, which means every single positioning, every single rank that you can improve, it's going to be a huge jump in paycheck. So even if some players here at the bottom maybe are not aiming for the victory anymore, and maybe just play for high overall placements to just make up a few rankings and maybe get 6th, get 5th, get 4th, and up their price pool and their earnings a lot.
I mean, if I think back to, it was either an IPL 1000 or maybe even the Illuvium Pro League finals as a whole. But if I recall correctly, there was an instance, I think it might have actually been Slicks, where they were essentially last on the board. There was other people in check for 2, 3 games. So they got themselves into the finals after like 1 or 2 more good games after having a rough time. And they were in contention to potentially win this thing. So I don't think that anybody in this instance is actually at the point where I'm content with 3rd kind of thing. I think they're still all pushing for the victories here. even if it was a couple of rough ones here, like say a couple of our players, like say Dr. Spoon here. Of course, my pick to try and see if they can get it all, I still think it could very well happen. Is it going to be the easy way to do it? Absolutely not. There was never an easy way, but it's just a hard way and an even harder way. And it's going to be tough, but they can very well still make it. That's what I love about this checkmate format.
Yes, sir. Definitely checkmate is the format where a lot of comebacks can happen, and by no means any of these players is not out of the race yet and out of the contention for first place. I would love to see some underdog story happening. I have nothing against Slicks, but I'm rooting against him because he's the favorite, and I just love seeing someone like Dr. Spoon, someone like Amafishy, or someone like Hasu win the tournament today. That would be absolutely amazing, but it's gonna be so hard. Players like Slicks, like Hollow, they are the favorite for a reason, so it's gonna be an uphill battle for our underdogs here, but we're here for it, and we're hoping for the best for all of these players.
Absolutely, but with us hitting round number 5, we've got some weapons online here. Let's take a look and see what everybody's pulling out here. Up at the very top here, Halloween Hype going to be picking up the Quake Maulers, going for some rogue action once again. Slicks picking up the Lava Gauntlet. That's one of the ways that you can do Inferno Arcanite. Right on point there. Sota set up for success here with either Toxic Aegis or some sort of Mystic with his Elderwood Staff. Another chance here at some sort of Inferno Arcanite or another Inferno play nonetheless for... where did they go? For Nariba. Hasu has that Earth Empath weapon, the Shadow Maul coming on through. I mean, Mystics has worked for them pretty decently last time. Let's look forward to seeing what happens this time. Dr. Spoon, Galewind Bow, the Air Fighter ranged weapon coming on forth here. Curious if they're going to be sticking with that or looking to switch, but maybe a heavy fighter team. There's Hollow once again with the Quake. Where else are we? Detective LNA also with the Finebound Cleaver, another rogue coming on through. And I'm a fishy with the Sprout Guard. So this is a shield, but it's actually a Scion weapon coming on through to finish things off in regards to weapons. Region this time by Crimson Waste. This can go one of two ways. We're either going to get levels or damage, and it's going to be levels. We're just starting off at level 3.
Yeah, just hypercharging this game already from the get-go. Interesting picks here. Slicks is gonna, I think Slicks and Ariba both just hard forcing the fires at this point. They wanted to get the boomerang, but they got the Lava Gauntlet instead. You can still get Arcanite Inferno with it. It's not the ideal weapon, but it will still work, especially because nobody else got the boomerang. We got 2 rogues, we got a fighter in here, we got a bunch of earth weapons, which is a little bit surprising to me. The Shadow Maul didn't perform so well before in the match that we saw them. That we saw someone play it. I think it was Amafishy. Well, actually not sure.
During game 1, somebody had it, yes.
Yeah, and then the Sprout Guard, I think is the first time we see it today, has been a little bit underperforming. It's not the top pick, I think, but definitely a decent weapon. And maybe we see a lot of weapon changes here as soon as the players are offered the chance.
And then looking at this list reminds me of something. We've seen basically every single alluvial in the universe here in the Motorverse Cup. But I'd argue we haven't seen one. Do you know which alluvial I'm talking about?
Ophisto.
Exactly. I see the squiz coming out here from Nariba, and it got me excited a little bit. But yeah, Ophisto. Where is Ophisto? Probably one of the coolest alluvials in the game, design-wise and then ability-wise. But we've not seen it this entire tournament, at least on stream. Maybe on an off-stream game there was one, but as of right now, absolutely nothing. Seeing the squiz on Nariba's bench reminded me about it. It's like, okay, I need to send out an MIA or an SOS. Where is Ophisto?
Yeah, it's probably one of the most satisfying units to play because it gets a reset of its ability when it gets a kill on its ability. So the double cast is just something so beautiful to behold. Just one-shotting 4 units at a time if it can. And then the shock just zapping down all the time as well if you get that online. So it's just such a cool Illuvial. And yeah, it was completely out of focus for all the players who haven't seen it before. And earlier when I talked about all the tier 5 stage 3s, that was also the one I didn't list because it was so much out of my mind. I agree. One of my favorite Illuvials, and hopefully we see it.
We're at least seeing the little guy, the squiz, come on through here for some additional early pressure off of getting shock. But this is like the only point where shock is, I'd argue, even useful. Just having a little bit of extra damage early. But even still, even though it's such a hard affinity to actually hit, It still doesn't actually perform worth a damn now, does it? That is going to be Dr. Spoon with an absolute crushing blow there with, once again, that beautiful little Lynx.
Yeah, it is definitely performing. It did quite well, but nothing outperforms a Lynx in the early game. Level 60, perfect stats, triple augments, that's as good as it gets. And we saw that with Dr. Spoon here. I would assume, yes, Slicks on the big win streak here on 100 HP is rocking the double Lynxes as well. And they are both level 60 and near perfect stats. It's gonna go up versus Hasso, who is also rocking 2 very good Lynxes. So that's gonna be an interesting fight. We got Granite online here for Hasso. We get the Caradulu, the TNT, the Gorilla. So a very strong team coming out here for the side of Hasso.
Absolutely. That Caradulu are going to be able to hold the line for a considerable amount of time, but they also have the Granite, of course, online very quickly here. So it's going to be Granite Enchanter, Granite, or at least the Enchanter part's not going to be a part of this one as of this moment, but we're just seeing again with how incredibly powerful these Lynxes can be in the early game. You'll eventually see them go away, but even with a Ranger not even linked up to anything, did not need it. The one thing that you have is you're linked up with 2 Lynxes. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and if you, it's like this is where some collections are just better than others. When you also have those stage 1 units level 60, that's gonna be such a big power spike in the early game. You find that Mule, you bring it out, and it hits like a Lynx pretty much. It did 4,000 damage, and similar things happen with a Squiz or with those tier 5, tier 4 units that you can definitely splash into your team composition in the early mid game.
Yeah, definitely makes sense, and that's where all the training, even when there wasn't any events happening, when it was just strictly ranked, leveling up, getting them all into a good position, it helps you for opportunities like this when you're waiting for your big carries to actually come on through. The super cool looking one, so to speak, that you would really, really rely on. But heck, you're just having a reliable team all throughout your alluvial roster. As we see once again here with Nariba and Slicks back and forth, but it is going to be Nariba taking yet another hit. Slick's going to be able to take them down there. But one player I'm kind of worried about, at least a little bit, is Detective Alane. They took a lot of damage, but they found at least Stabbin and Twine pretty quickly. So maybe this is the point where they start turning things around.
We are getting to that PvE round right here, which you can see all the players have stacked up their money, except for Detective LNA, maybe. They're down to 50. And now we're gonna see, are people rolling early again? Slicks and Holo have been doing that in the past if they were contested, just to get their hands onto some core Illuvials first. It seems like he's slowly rolling down again here, Slicks. That seems to be his strategy. Dr. Spoon joining him right there, and also Holo is doing so. And I might add, these are also one of the best players in the game, and it feels like this is definitely one of the strategy that puts them apart, even in this top 8, where we can see different playstyles. And I would say it's better to give up a little bit of income and roll early and have a better shot at finding your Illuvials.
Yep, absolutely, especially if you know that you're being contested a little bit. So that's why I didn't mind seeing Detective LNA, for instance, going for the Stabbin a little bit early, getting Lolura, or now just getting Lolura, but was looking for them at least a little bit early, because you know there's going to be other rogue players looking for them. Holo having a couple. Heck, even Lolura going over to Hasu's team, that's not even necessarily a rogue team, but what it is just heavy Earth. We hardly ever see 7 Earth actually completed. But the best opportunity that we would see it on would be a Mystic team. And I mean, there is the remnants. You've got that Greater App on there for Hasu. You've got that Adorito already online. And it's well on their way.
Yes, sir. We have here the Adorito, as you said. I love this unit because if it heals the right unit in the right moment, it's such a game changer. But everything is dying before that mana bar is full. The full front line is already dead. Here comes the heal onto some of the most important units, though, but it's not gonna change much anymore. It was too little, too late. We needed this heal earlier, Adorito. You were just a little bit too slow, and it's gonna be a big defeat here for Hasu. Sota keeps on pushing through with his win streak, and Hasu is gonna go down to 38 HP.
Yeah, maybe so. A rough game 1 into an absolute steamroll could very well be in the cards here for Sota as it stands right now. But Hasu definitely in for a world of hurt. And I know I've mentioned it a handful of times so far throughout the broadcast, but when trying to go for Mystics, it's just so scary and it's so expensive. Getting the Geyser, getting the Adorius, those are the ones that you need truly to hit online to actually get the full value from that Mystic squad and just essentially become unkillable. You have all these Earth units, like, sure, they're going to be tanky, but there is no damage also with it. We're going to see the Flood come on through, but yeah, Hasu's essentially broke here, and now they have to go deal with Detective Alane, who's got that Verdant Vanguard essentially online and locked.
And we got a ram fight sitting here in the middle, in the mid game. That's going to do a lot of damage. It's going to go up into the air right now. It's going to hit not many units, but it does not matter as the rogues are just so strong right now in this early mid game with round number 14. They're just gonna Shrek on through and kill all those Earth units, which are supposed to be pretty tanky, but Earth gives you mitigation. And mitigation reduces the incoming damage by a flat amount and not by a percentage, which is not as good as, for example, the resistances that Bulwark provides versus those rogues.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reflective damage that you get for 7 Earth, at least as of late, hasn't necessarily kept up with the power of some of these other big thresholds in regards to affinities. So now with Hasu down to 21 HP, I think they've got one more life in them, more than likely, as long as they can pull off the stops here versus Nariba. At least they do have hyper advantage. So normally a team that isn't necessarily too heavy on damage, maybe the additional hyper could come in clutch. Maybe allow for that TNT to just hit a little bit harder. The little foe isn't going to be hyper, though. It's the one of the lone nature units here on the squad alongside Adorito. But I've been talking about all this. I didn't even realize that's a baby Appon. That wasn't even a greater Appon. So is Mystic actually even online here for this squad with Hasu? It may not very well be the case. So Nariba, with all this Inferno Arcanite power, going to just do absolutely fantastic work. Nice try from the TNT. Nearly took 2 more out of there, but he still would have had to deal with the Mammoth. Nariba gonna knock Hasu down to 7.
Yeah, I can't help but feeling that Hasu is a little bit lost in game number 3 here. After wonderful game 1 and 2, it feels like this is a little bit too much off meta, and also didn't find the units they were hoping for, I guess. Because usually if you play this, you want to find a lot of stage 3 units. You want to find those mods. You want to find the C4os, maybe go for an Invoker. Go for at least the Mystic, like you say. But this is not even an evolved Appon. So it feels like too early leveling, not enough rolling at a low level to secure all those tier 1 units that they needed.
Yeah, potentially. Now they have to go up against Dr. Spoon, and Dr. Spoon leading this lobby now as it stands. 85 HP currently set up for themselves here with just a Berserker. Was that Death Berserker coming on through here from the Ranger? It just dipped out of nowhere, so I lost him for a second. No, Frost Berserker is kind of what they're going for. Going to allow for maybe that Jokul to be the absolute mega carry in this instance. There is no phase breaker for a safety net, but that bear, of course, is very beefy in its own right, being able to heal every single time it fires off that Omega, and that alongside everybody else, there's so much damage across the board. That's going to be Hasu, knocked out of here in 8th in game number 3.
Nothing is over yet for Hasu, but that was a rough one. Maybe one thing that I would have liked to see is this Adoredo. I keep saying it heals too late, right? It took a long time for it health bar to fill up. If it takes damage, it gains mana. So maybe using it as an off tank, letting it take some damage, then the heal comes through and utilizing its HP more would be better than seeing it die last here as we go into a PvE round with the remaining players.
It's definitely the double-edged sword, right? You take a little bit of damage, you get a little bit of energy, but that was actually one of the things that was changed in a recent patch as well. The game, for the longest time, would give you too much energy when taking damage to the point where certain alluvials would feel unkillable. It was something changed maybe within the last patch or 2, and especially with Adorito, when they also got an energy cost increase, it hurt them probably the hardest. And unfortunately here for Hasu, just did not quite work out because everything just lined up against them, so to speak. Now we've got I'm a Fishy on death's door, unironically playing a lot of Scions. I mean, personally, I'm very, very happy to see this, but am I happy to see them so low on HP? Not in the slightest. This is a very tough spot to actually get into, but this at least allows for Granite Invoker. You don't necessarily see this style very, very often, but this lives or dies off the Sin-Off beam, and if it doesn't hit a good target, then, well, you're probably cooked.
It feels a bit rough here because we have 4 out of 5 science, 4 out of 5 bulwarks, and 2 out of 3 fires. So just being on the edge of those thresholds, and maybe the 5 rocker with 5 bulwark could have allowed for a bit more raw strength, as the art ace of the enemy team of Slicks here lays down beautiful fire. The Inferno is ticking, but it seems to do not so much damage. Everybody's still very healthy here for the side of Amafishi, and Amafishi is looking pretty good with the double invokers, has the late stages of the fight in his hands with stacking ability power, Omega power here, and gonna take down Slicks and stay alive with 11 HP.
All right, somebody take a clip real quick. That's the one time where an Invoker team actually beat 6 Fire. There we go. We've got evidence. It happened. But no, good on Amafishi there. The shots were exactly where they need to be. The Furiox doing a good job, and the front line just holding on for so long. So a perfect case scenario. And Hologini hype also very hurt in this instance here. 7 HP left. Went for Rogues as well. Does have Malura, does have the snowballing setup onto the Stabbin, but not the right brawler augment. It's a tankier augment, but it does not, of course, allow for any sort of sustain, nor does it allow for any sort of face breaking or untargeting. So yeah, I do like the change that they did just make here actually onto the Stabbin. If you don't have the face breaker, you might as well just go all in on damage and hope for the best. They need to burst down this Kronk extremely quickly, otherwise they're not going to be able to get through the blind. So shot after shot coming on through. It took a little while, but the Vanguards are going to be able to plow on through. But now this is where the snowballing can get a little bit scary. Once a kill or two is put onto that Stabbin, it can really start dealing some decent damage to these tanks, but the tank line here from this Malura is not going to be strong enough. In fact, the untargetability from that Omega actually made it so they all targeted the Stabbin. Worst case scenario here for Hologini, and it's going to be Sota taking that win, and we do end up losing 2. I'm officially going to fall out of here in 6 with Hologini in 7th.
Sota got his revenge. They're playing the same deck that they got knocked out versus Rogues in the first game in last place, and this time they're knocking out the Rogues in game number 3. Good on him. I am happy for Sota finding his footing here in game number 2 and 3. And now we're gonna take a look at Slicks versus Detective LNA, and Detective might be almost on his last life with a Slash-in here. Not the Malura yet, so Vanguards aren't at their full strength, but Slash-in found the way into the backline, took a lot of damage, but then went untargetable. So that was pretty much as good as it gets, and it's gonna die very fast nevertheless, and that's gonna be it for Detective LNA. Down to 3 HP, holding on, gets another chance here.
And that's what's frustrating, like, because you get that slash in, and of course it's a fantastic carry in its own right, but it is still very squishy, especially once you dive on 4th if the Lalura is not there to cover up, or any tanks are here for any sort of support. Because yeah, that poor slash in essentially got chunked down to a 1/4 HP so quickly, to the point where it almost looked like the Inferno ticks itself just kind of took them down. It wasn't any sort of big time damage, but now we are going to see a very important round here. Detective LNA versus Nariba, 3 health apiece as of this moment.
3 versus 3, that's gonna be a big old death match here between the 2 Brazilian players. Who is gonna be able to take it? My bet is here on Detective, actually. I think this Slash-in is gonna go hyper, is gonna go crazy. It's gonna take a while to go hyper. In the meantime, Artes lays down the carpet bomb. Ramp fight doesn't hit anything with its Omega, but it does not matter. Slash-in with the extra range as well. It's just punching through the enemies. We can look at the damage here. 19,000 damage versus the 7,000 of the Artes. So big difference here for the 2 Brazilian players. And Detective LNA is gonna punch their ticket into the top 4.
A little bit of a better round nonetheless here for Nariba, going to get themselves all the way up into 5th place. Detective LNA, of course, with a fantastic one as well, breaking into the top 4. But we see a handful of familiar faces in the podium, but then we also see Dr. Spoon finally having a good run here with the Toxic Aegis composition, and they've essentially gotten, as of this moment, pretty well everything they could potentially want. This Rip Lance, probably the first time we're really getting to see Rip Lance in this grand final, but probably, I'd argue, one of the best, if not the best, single target damage alluvials here in the game. Every single time it fires off that Toxic Skewer, doing a big burst of damage based off of the the target's health, if I recall correctly. So regardless of the target in front of it, they can do some serious damage to it, but it does not do good in swarming scenarios. So trying to position this thing as best as possible is going to be rough. It's not even actually Aegis as it stands right now. Dr. Spoon's currently linked up as Frost's Behemoth, but I think I understand why now. We just got a Blotto and an Umber added onto this team. Dr. Spoon, what have you created?
Oh my god, I know we should be watching Detective LNA, but I am invested here into Dr. Spoon's team and how this Umber is gonna perform without any synergies activated, without any augments. Let's see the damage as well. We have in the backline the Furiox pretty much untouched, but now the Umber goes over, is gonna get shut down very fast. Furiox tries to take it down, is not gonna do so. Right plan stings on through, and that's gonna be Slicks down to 10 HP. Detective LNA is going to be knocked out here versus Sota. Sota taking a big first place right now with the win streak.
Yeah, unfortunately there for Detective, it looks like those rogues essentially just jumped into a brick wall. Let's see what the Sota's rocking as of this moment. That's a corner composition with, is that Mystic even online, or is this more so towards the Aegis side of things? It is actually the Aegis side of things, it looks like, with Gnarl being the link to the Ranger. So just making anything nearby very, very tanky alongside more damage. Looks very, very good, but we'll have to see how Sota can hold up against Dr. Spoon. Dr. Spoon, basically everybody actually has spent the bank at this point to try and get the best possible composition. No more saving, no more long-term. This is the long-term. Can they somehow hold the line?
Let's watch Slicksto versus the Ghost Army here. He is the only one that can be knocked out in this round. And it's gonna be against Sota, which the Ghost Army doesn't change much because Sota is in a corner composition, which is pretty good versus Slicks here. There is a big ram fight. Omega will deal a decent amount of damage, but everything is getting healed back up. And most of the most important units for Sota are still standing with a big tank in the front line and the devastating backline with the Furiox fully charged up here. So much attack speed leaves Slicks no chance, being knocked out in third place, which will still bring him into check position as the only player here in the lobby, and he's the only potential player that can win the tournament next round.
Sota looking extremely strong to potentially score the win here in this game. And we saw the issue with Slicks, but I think I'm seeing the same issue here for Dr. Spoon, where at least Riplance, of course, again, has that health-based damage. But otherwise, all the rest of these Luvials, yeah, they're going to be doing like flat damage, fantastic. But with all these tanky units in front of them, it's going to make it so hard to like try and punch through the Gnarl that has these tanky augments on top of it to give even more health. There's just so much to try and chew through. I don't know if you have enough time.
Let's see if they are hungry and they can chew through it. We see the Umber trying to get in from the side. The Singe already dead. The Gnarl now next on the chopping block. The Riplance is doing its best to get through, but the heals, the sustain, keeps it alive for so long. Riplance is still looking pretty good here. Gets a root, gets stunned, and is moving on to the backline. Will it be enough? Adorito gets a heal out, and that's gonna spell doom for the enemy team, for Dr. Spoon here, but there is still a Furiox alive. It's not gonna be enough though, and Dr. Spoon down to 4 HP versus Sota.
Okay, it looked possible, but it's still very, very tough. They cracked the tank line, but they couldn't actually get to the squishy bits on the inside. Scoriox, Fernite, and Adorito still in perfect position and just were basically untouched in that fight. How do you actually reach that back end?
Yeah, that's what Dr. Spoon is gonna try to figure out right here. I think the Umber is just a fake unit at this point. If it doesn't have those synergies, if it doesn't have those augments, it's not gonna help them. Here comes a little reposition on the outside, and the Riplance is gonna try to sneak around the Gnarl to get into the backline.
Yeah, maybe that's the case, but that's not going to be an Aegis buff Riplance this time by, so it is going to be missing out on some damage and some tankiness, but maybe it does find a better path throughout the entire fight. So far, it's been able to take care of 2 tanks, and we're letting everybody else just deal with the Gnarl. It's actually pairing up rather nicely here with the Umber, but the Umber is finally going to get targeted, so will the Riplance, and it's going to fall in the exact same position. Gets through the tank line, but falls in the center, right at the feet of the squishies at the very back. So Sota playing this to an absolute perfection with this nature-based team here, and going to end up winning our next game.
Congratulations to Sota with a 66 HP win streak. Wins game number 3, and I wanna again one-time highlight that he lost last place. He was last place in the first game, which makes this so much more impressive. Keeping your cool, keeping your mental in a good position to just keep punching and keep winning. And this is amazing. Sota here with the corner composition. And this was what he tried to build in the first game, where he got last, and now he got his redemption.
Yeah, it helped that nobody was really challenging them too badly. Like, I'm sure they would have rather have had the Blotto as well, but the Gnarl did just such a fantastic job of holding the front line for so long, to the point where 3/4 of the team was targeting that Gnarl for what felt like 3/4 of the fight. To getting that Verdant Puddle as well, just getting the additional healing alongside that Arito, just made it absolutely unkillable. Sure, the rest of the tanks weren't as strong. The DPS, heck, they broke through it. But by the time they did, they had next to no HP left, to the point where Furiat or the Scoriox can just turn and burn on them nice and quickly with the Fernite. And they never truly was that threatened. So nicely done there from Sota. A big step up here for Dr. Spoon as well. A much needed second place finish here. But then with Slicks getting third, Detective Alan getting fourth, we might actually have a few players in check this time.
Yeah, we're gonna check out the scores in a second. And I don't want to spoiler it, but I think it's only one, and it's Slicks. Well, I just did spoiler it.
Yeah, a little quick call out as well from Squawk in the chat as well. I didn't give the credit to on Sota's team. They kept their fire Grok up to allow for additional, like hitting that third. They kept the tier 0 so that they can put it onto the field, get the 3 fire synergy as well, to just make it so that Scoriox would actually hit that much harder. So hey, who said the tier 0s were useless? They're coming in clutch here. Grocko making it to the winning team.
Hell yeah, congratulations, Mr. Grocko, one of the, probably the only tier 0 that has gotten a win in this tournament so far. Nice to
Grocko
see.
has gotten a win before a Fisto. Just let that sink in.
Yeah, that's something to talk about in the tavern when they're gonna hang out after the tournament. Let's see the stats here. We got Slicks in first with 20 points, which means they are in check position, which means if they win another round, they win the tournament. And they are the only players who can win the tournament next round until other players move into check position with at least 19 points. I'm officially needs 3 points for that, so at least a 6th place. That should be pretty doable. Same for Sota with 16 points. Needs only a 6th place for check position. And then Hologini needs a 3rd place. And Hasu needs at least a 2nd place. Dr. Spoon a 2nd place. And Detective Airline with a 1st place would also get in check position. So everyone right now except Nareba can get into check next round. And Slicks is the only one who can win the tournament next round.
All right, so how much hard targeting are we going to see up for Slicks here? This is going to be very interesting because on one hand, yeah, if you don't want this tournament to end, then you need to make sure that Slicks does not win. However, at the same time, look at that top 4. I see one thing very familiar and very much so in common. That's a lot of hype. So, I don't know. Teammates, do you contest each other for your own good, or are you content being where you are as long as your teammate wins? What kind of relationship do we have here in this team, I wonder?
I'm almost 100% sure that Amafishi, Sota, and Hologini are gonna go full on for the victory. And I don't think in a $50,000 tournament in the grand finals there can be any friends. And I think, yeah, you just gonna play your best to try to win the tournament. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of them are happy with a 2nd place and passing it on to Slicks. We shall see. I am very sure that at least 4, 5, 6 players of this lobby are gonna be somewhat targeting Slicks. So this is not a 100%. New position for him to be in. This has happened before a lot, so he's used to that. And we'll see how he can handle with all this pressure and the stress.
No, absolutely, and my mindset kind of leans more so towards you as well. I do believe that even though it's hype, once it's grand finals time, once it's tournament time, there is no friends on the battlefield. So I'm in the exact same spot, mindset wise. I just thought you never know, potentially.
you do never know. Well, but we are gonna assume that they are all in it to win it because, well, like we said, every single placement does bring you a lot of pay jump here in the tournament. We can go back quickly before we take a little break. The players are also going to take a little breaks now, so we're going to have about 5 minutes till the next game starts. Everyone can grab their drinks, their snacks, and go take a bio break. But before that, real quick, we're going to check out the prize money here in the Motorverse Cup. $50,000 are on the line in total, but what does that mean for the individual placements here in the top 8?
Absolutely. Every single place has a major jump to it, at least after you get past 5th there. You're like 5th, no matter what, anybody who's made it into this grand finals, they're already going to be walking away with $2,250. But I mean, you get up to 4th, now you're into 3,000. Yep, 3rd, that's 5,000 now for yourself. 2nd with 8,000, of course, with our winner of the entire event today, going to be walking away with $15,000.
Yes, sir. Very top heavy. So that is why our players here are leaving it all on the battle boards. Their heart, their soul, their sweat and tears, maybe some blood. I don't know what's happening behind those screens, but we know that game number 4 is coming up shortly after a 3-minute highlight break. We see you with game number 4. Welcome back, everyone. We have Game 4 coming up for the Motorverse Cup here. And it's gonna be an interesting one. Slicks, again, is the only one who can win the tournament next round already. Get us home early, so I'm hoping he doesn't do that. I want to see more action on the battlefield.
No, absolutely. This is strange, right? Because, like, in one sense, you're at a relief. It's like, okay, if the tournament ends, it's on my terms in regards to Slicks. But at the same time, every single game that goes by just adds more and more people to that check state, which in turn is just going to just add more and more pressure. So regardless of what you do, it's going to be very, very scary to be in Slicks' position. But to break that second place streak in terms of the competitive side of things, this would be an incredible way to bust it if they can just have essentially a dominating run here through the Motorverse Cup Grand Finals. But of course, I'm in the same boat. I want to see a little bit more Illuvium here, see some more action, and it's just been so fun. Again, we don't get these opportunities very, very often in regards to tournament Illuvium, but it's so fun when we do. I don't want it to be done just yet.
Yes, never stop. And hopefully we're getting some more competitive action after this tournament has concluded. It doesn't have to be something crazy like $50,000, but everyone would just be happy to keep the tournament scene alive. But then again, we also know that the big priority right now for Illuvium is the main game mode, which is going to be the Illuvium MMO Obelisk Rising, which is being developed right now. Then we have the arena, obviously. We have Illuvium Zero. We have the deathmatch coming out as well, a little mini game where you can take your Illuvials into the Colosseum, so to say, and see if they can make it out in the end in the deathmatch. A bloodbath, but very nicely made, like very stylized, like very it's like very pixel arty, and I like it a lot. I think you have tested it as well already, Salin.
I have, yeah, and for what it is, I have been enjoying it a lot more than I honestly thought I would. But yeah, this is an entire universe. It's interesting. We're in a little bit of the calm before the storm, like I think I had said on broadcast yesterday. Of course, arena in regards to development is basically where they want to keep it as of right now. I just hope that they don't forget about it, because this is going to be what I assume, or what I feel like is akin to how Pokemon has their story game and then there's champions for competitive. We'll have our story game with Obelisk Rising, and then we have the arena for competitive. So that's what I would love to keep arena around. I know personally I've been doing house leagues for the last couple of weeks every single Friday on afternoons just to keep some sort of competitive thing going. I want to keep it going. Let's not let arena fall, because this entire universe as a whole is absolutely incredible, whether it's the brand new flashy project or not. So looking forward to continuing that with this entire awesome community.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you say, arena definitely has a place in the grand scheme of things, especially because it is, in this time and age, having a competitive game is hard, but so important, I think, for those big universes that want to scratch every itch of every player. One of them is gonna be competitive, another one is story, and yeah, we're trying to scratch it all, and I think very soon nobody's gonna be itching anymore for anything more, and all the game modes will be there. Until then, we are gonna check out for now the tournament, and we have weapons in the game. What are we looking at?
All right, we could be going home early. Slicks picking up the strike boomerang means that they are in prime position to get what I'd argue is the best team composition in the game with Inferno Arcanite. That, as soon as that showed up in their shop, I'm sure they were jumping for joy, because that is 100% best possible case scenario there for them with that fire fighting weapon. Dr. Spoon again with the Gale Wind Bow. I mean, they've made it work before, and I think it was just in the last game. Let's see if they can do it again. I'm a fishy. What are they pulling up here? That's going to be Toxic Aegis once again. They've already got the Archos as well, so it's going to be Aegis already online. Hasu with the Aqua Blaster, potentially going for some Steam. Harbinger. Nariba with my personal favorites, the Emberling Rod, the Nature Scion weapon. Sota got stuck, it looks like, here with the Flame Warden staff, so you could potentially do Mystic out of this. Maybe you can still go Inferno. We'll have to see. Detective Alan Naig is the lone rogue here in this one, so honestly, there might not be in a bad spot. If it's just one rogue, you might be in luck. Quake Mauler is coming on through. Hologini going to contest Slicks a little bit, though, with that Lava Gauntlet, and you can also do Inferno Arcanite.
Yeah, there is some crazy stuff happening here. First of all, Slicks is almost not being contested. Big shout out to Hologini here to at least be the only one to go for Slicks' team comp. which is going to be super, super important if they want to play another game and if they want to have a shot at winning the tournament themselves. We don't have a Verdant Cleaver here, the more dominant rogue weapon. We only have one Quake Mauler. So this could be Detective LNA's round right here, where he is uncontested and really goes for the victory here. I think rogues have a hard time closing it out in the end. So maybe that might not be enough to beat Slicks. And one last thing I want to highlight. Slicks was able to go on a big win streak right here, right off the bat with just one Lynx. So this is looking very scary, and I think we're going to watch him play a little bit. Sorry.
I mean, it's an interesting spot because they're keeping their win streak, but they also haven't saved compared to a handful of these other players. They're down to just about 40 credits as of this moment. Some of the alluvials they found within that role, though, is already kind of crazy. Like, we're seeing the Scarebot come in. That's a tier 5, already finding that super early. And I think that's a flare. Yeah, the tier 4 coming on through very early alongside the Fury. So they spent relatively early, and not all-inning by any means, but they're definitely not in the best spot in regards to economy compared to, say, Hollow in this instance, who's already at max. They're sitting at 70. They're exactly where they need to be. They're going to end up taking some more damage to their life, though, because Slicks, again, just has that much more firepower. But especially once we get out on the other side of this NPC rounds, I imagine we're going to see Hollow go nuts.
Yeah, and it is interesting because we have seen this before, like big win streak, but then you cannot translate it into the mid late game and you fall off so harshly. So a big win streak early is by no means a guarantee for the top 4, and especially not for winning the game, but it doesn't, it helps, right? And like you said, maybe a little bit nervous getting, like really trying to push for the victory, for the win streak early on, pushing some money in. Because, yeah, compared to everyone else, we only have Amafishi, even worse in economy here with 11 gold, which is a very, very aggressive, greedy way to play the game, to guarantee to get into top 4 and just save some economy, maybe, and save some HP, maybe because he wasn't very lucky with early rolls. He thought, I have to just send it.
Now, Detective LNA gets their crack here at Slicks. Of course, a lone rogue player here in this one. They're going to have Predator at least on nice and quickly. They did find TNT as well, so they have Granite Predator currently online. So that's going to be, of course, the Churl, the Ranger, and then the Greater Gorilla being able to do some decent damage once they drop to below 10% HP. And we're going to see there's just going to be enough here to stop that win streak in its tracks. Finally going to end up dropping. But at least now Slick's going to be around 50 credits. In fact, they sold a handful of things, it looks like, to get to 50 credits. So their management of their economy for round per round is probably the best I've seen anybody do currently in this game.
Yeah, they're really recuperating, making the best out of the situation. And because you don't want to invest all your money to keep your win streak alive, then your win streak gets crushed and you have no economy, no win streak, nothing. So nice to see here, 60 gold, looking absolutely great again, and it was a good decision to push a little bit gold early on into it, secure some of those core units. I would assume he was hoping to find something more, like a Furiox, a Cinch, like something stage 2, and didn't really find much there. So not the best of luck in rolls, and the tactic didn't fully work out because we have Hologini here contesting with also a Flare, a Fury, and I am sure other players are going to be picking up those units, like Dr. Spoon here with the Fury. Even if they don't have his weapon, the fire weapon, they're gonna pick one or the other unit away from Slicks. As I say this, we have the Goliath, we have the Furiox, and it's looking way better already for him.
Yeah, that's a big power spike right there. That's where the Arcanite can actually become online if they do wish to do so. I think it's still labeled as Berserker for now, but it's still pretty early here into this one. But we do see everybody else as well, either leveling up or getting some evolutions onto their alluvials. We're seeing Nariba, for instance, found the Choral, so now you got the triple Predator if you really wanted to, but actually no, you got the Stabbin' 2, so Vanguard will be online. Detective LNA looking relatively decent as well, same kind of situation, but they've gone for Rake instead of Penguin. But in regards to our battle right here with Slicks and Dr. Spoon, Dr. Spoon also finding a Furiox, and I'd argue that it's looking like Slicks' Furiox is going to be looking a little bit better here. The additional augments on there, not attack speed, no bonus effects really, just pure raw damage coming out from that Furiox, and that plus the Riptorus as well, just doing a ton of damage here onto the squad. It might not be a fire alluvial, does not matter, it still has plenty of firepower. Nicely done, Slips.
Yes, sir, and you can see what things like small things really make a difference. We have 11,000 versus 6,000 damage here. And the only thing is 1 augment more, but also a big thing is 6 fire, 2 inferno. I think just the raw power of the affinities here with double Arcanite as well on the side of Slicks is gonna give you so much raw damage, especially so early into the game.
100%, and that's kind of the difference maker between having something that just has raw damage essentially right off the start, or something that requires snowballing. Because of course, something that snowballs out of control is going to vastly outperform just raw damage, but there's no guarantee that you snowball and get to that point in the first place. So a scary spot for Doc to be in that fight in particular, but still plenty of health in the bank or for them to actually get on through. We're seeing Hasu now come on through. They're going for heavy water. It looks like 8 water online, and Steam could be short to follow as soon as they get the rake. But in terms of their carries, they have just the Riptorus. It has a bunch of augments on top of it. It's going to be attacking quickly, but how painful will it be?
We also have an Alfie here in the corner shooting towards the Furiox, which is not going to do enough damage. It's just going to feed it some mana. But maybe with the second shot, it might actually fall pretty low. Here he comes. And now the Riptorus comes down anyway. 1 sting, that's going to be enough. And that's going to be Slicks taking a lot of damage from Hasu here, who maybe is not contesting unit-wise, but we're playing 8 water versus 6 fire, which, if you played any game ever, this is a winning situation for the water.
Absolutely. Super effective. It's just a matter of actually getting some of those carries and some of those alluvials just evolved. And maybe Hasu could be in the spot where they're actually going head-to-head with Slicks pretty consistently, to the point, heck, they're actually tied for the lead as of this moment. In terms of some players having a little bit of a harder time, though, unfortunately, this has just not been the lobby for Nariba. Even though they've got the slash-in online, it's still them at about 29 HP. But now we get to see Sota in action. They got that Flame Warden staff. How do they opt to do this? It looks like it is going to end up being a Magma-based Mystic team, which can very well still work. It gets you a bunch of additional damage over time, as well as tankiness. But if your Magma is not actually touching the units doing the damage, it could be problematic, as we're seeing the Ranger and the Furiox in the background just opening fire as they please. Now the Magma is finally going to get to their doorstep, but it's going to be way too late. The Furiox still just doing so much damage. A little Fury on this other side as well for Sota trying its damnedest, but there's just too many alluvials, too much firepower, and the damage charts there just definitely told the story. Basically doubled the amount of damage.
Yeah, and then we had also Artes on 10,000 as well. So second damage dealer also so much outperforming Sota's team there. Sota seeming a little bit desperate, not really finding what he needed, also being hard contested. But now he found his Furiox, so maybe that's the time where it's all gonna swing around. But this game, this match right here is gonna be tough, because Nariba is down to his last life basically, but they found Slash-In. And Slash-In is gonna be wreaking havoc on the battlefield here against Slicks, because there's not many tanks yet to really keep them at bay. There is no blind, nothing. But the damage is coming through for the Furiox. Grilla, luckily enough, jumps over, shuts it down, and that's gonna be it for this round for Slicks. Nariba holds on to 16 HP.
All right, good on Nariba. They'd be able to get that done, but they are playing with fire. That, like, sure, they have the slash-in, but they don't even have the first part of Vanguard even unlocked. There is no bulwark on that team in the slightest to be able to do that, so they were just rocking a high amount of Rogues and Predator, and then they do manage to have at least Steam online because of the Ranger and the Rake, but they're not going to be able to get the most out of that composition until they even just get a damn Grocco or some sort of tank out there. Much easier said than done, though, when they're so low on credits.
Really cool drone augment choice here by Slicks. By the way, we're gonna spectate Slicks a little bit more until we have really people on their last life, because Slicks might just win the whole tournament here. So we want to make sure we see how he does it. And this drone augment choice is surprising to me. Your units deal 20% more damage, but also receive 10% more damage. So this is an all-in composition. Goes very well with the fire type style of playing. Just burst everything down before they can do any damage to you. But it's going to be so hard versus those tanky opponents like this one right here. They might be able to sustain your damage, but you're going to go down so much faster.
Yeah, I was actually going to point out the other drone augment there, the Fortress Protocol, because, yeah, you have the glass cannon that's going to make you take more damage, but then you're just going to take a bunch of additional resistances once you're at low health. That feels almost like counterintuitive in a sense, if I'm thinking about it. But we just don't know, of course, what kind of drone augments that their drone did end up discovering. But this is going to be a tough one here. Slicks, again, with this big-time Fire Inferno squad. Well, Blotto has arrived. I'm a Fishy squad is coming together rather nicely. And they even got Axodon. We don't really get to see the big Axolotl showing up very, very often. But it is here in the front line. It's going to be doing a ton of damage while also being able to tank for so much. But, of course, that back line, the Furiox and the Ranger are going to be able to open fire pretty well uncontested until that Fern gets there. Now it's going to be able to get there, but the Furiox turns and burns onto it very, very quickly. Tanks versus the DPS. Can they get there in time? Blotto, one of the slowest units in the entire game, going to waddle their way on over, but the good shields coming on through from the Overflower, but it does not matter. That is going to be Slick's going to get a big win here onto I'm a Fishy, knocking them to 19, and we do lose Nariba. They're going to end up falling here in 8th place.
Wasn't able to get the 3 Vanguards online. Malura, such an important piece missing here for Nariba. And about the last fight, that was clearly a positioning mistake here from Amafishi, because the Furiox was focusing down the Fernite, was focusing down the Riptorus, and everything else before hitting the main tank, the Blotto. So if somehow with positioning the Blotto would have soaked up all the damage and given that Fernite time to stun and deal damage, this match could have gone so much different. As we see Slicks going up versus a Ghost Army, we're gonna go down to Amafishi, see if he can clean it up versus the Sinalfir. Seems like a good positioning, not hitting the Fernite, as it looks like it's gonna fire its first laser over to the Arcos, which is happy to tank that. Doesn't even go down to 50% HP when casting already. Heal again, and this is no problem for Amafishi here. Definitely gonna win this, even though we see a Mammoth in the enemy team. So strong team here coming out from Hasu, but Amafishi's team is just stronger and also countering them with the hyperactive mechanic here, with the nature units beating the water.
Yeah, Hasu still has a pretty sick team, but it's got a little bit of a ways to go here. And one big thing that I think Slicks is doing that could very well turn this, Dr. Spoon's trying to contest them on this, though. If you realize that you're going for Inferno Arcanites and then all of a sudden you're being contested on snakes, you can just say, screw the snakes, I'm going Behemoth. Get the Polar Bear, go for the Seer instead. It's still going to be relatively contested. The Seer is a very contested alluvial here. And if I recall correctly, Slicks' bench was very, very loaded. In fact, both the Polar Bears are on the field right now. So it's going to be very scary if that does end up going into fruition. However, now for the fight here, Dr. Alané. No, Detective Alané up against I'm a Fishy. A bad enough loss for either of these players could knock them out. Sota is also within kill shot here. That's 6 HP. So we're going to probably lose a handful of players in this one. The poor Axodon, it's stuck in between the Blotto and the Archos. They could not get him through. It does not matter, though. It looks like Fishy's team going to absolutely overwhelm Detective Alané. We will see Detective Alané knocked out. But does Sota survive? As of right now, it looks like they're going to be able to do so just ever so slightly. Lots of low health bars, but they will survive. So Detective Alané going to be out of here in 7th.
Super important round number 20 there for our players. Some people surviving, some people getting knocked out. The Rogues are out of the mix. Both of them contesting each other too hard, and none of them really finding their foothold. One of them has the slash in, one of them has the Malura. And now we're gonna look to the top of the lobby where, like you said, Dr. Spoon was able to swap their weapon to Strike Boomerang.
Yep.
And be the third person to contest the fire build, and the second person to go up against Slicks. As we're watching Sota versus Slicks right here, that's gonna be a super important one. Somebody needs to stop Slicks. Don't let him get on this win streak, as the Artes flies in just behind the Furiox. It's not gonna deal enough damage though to take it down. It also gets healed, so Furiox is looking good and looking healthy. It's gonna surely swap over to that Forest, which was the last hope for Slicks, and Slicks is gonna take a decent amount of damage here, down to 42 HP.
I mean, it's all coming together. The lobby as a whole have kind of converged against Slicks one way or another, with Dr. Spoon making the swap, stealing a Singe, stealing a Polar Bear, making it tough to actually get Jotun to get the Behemoth side of things. I'm sure Slicks is starting to feel the pressure, especially since there is no more credits really there for them to make a big role. This NPC round actually could not have come at a better time here for Slicks. They are one mule away from finding Jotun and enabling Behemoth onto the squad. 2 Behemoth is very, very strong. If they manage to somehow get 3, that would be the absolute difference maker, and it's probably, I'd argue, the most powerful composition in the game if you actually hit it. If Inferno Arcanite is the most powerful in terms of consistency, Behemoth is probably the one where if you actually do land it, you're Exodia. So we're right next to it.
Yes, sir. Especially with the right augments, these units are just a menace to deal with. So tanky, so much damage, self-heal as well, stuns, they got it all. And everyone else in this lobby is right now rolling to stop this from happening. But there it goes. Big Ice Bear is in the mix and is surely gonna join the battle board in a second. Maybe Slicks is playing it slow, doesn't show his full cards yet. Gonna place it last second onto the battle board. And also thinking, what can I swap out for that? And it's gonna be Slicks versus Dr. Spoon in the top. So we're gonna go down to the bottom where everyone else is trying to survive. We got Amafishi versus Hasu. One of them is gonna get knocked out here. Is it gonna be the Mammoth or is it gonna be the Axodon, the Null? Both teams very tanky, but there comes the Umber into the backline.
Yeah, the Umber, if you can manage to stay safe, it can do a heck of a lot of damage here, and it's built for the late game with those resonating pulse reactors, but that Riptorus is not going to let it get away, immediately going to take it down, so the big carry for this squad is out of here. Granted, yes, that Mammoth is still going to be doing a decent amount of damage while tanking, but there is no heavy DPS here on this green side anymore. Hasu, it's scary. That Sinolf is trying to stamp this every single time it fires a cast. It is stealing so much Omega power, but it's not getting the shots it's looking for. The Blotto just shrugged it off like it was nobody's business. It's a tanky team, but they're going to slowly waddle their way and probably end up taking this in the end. Fernite trying to stamp this. Look how much this Mammoth is tanking. It is not... or it's not going down without a fight, but now that these overtime pulses are going to come on through, that should very well be the end. And is that the end of Hasu in this one? Yes, it is. Going to knock them out here in 6th place.
And there it is, everyone. We are in the top 5. And 3 of them only have 1-digit health left. One more strike and they are out. And there is Slicks, also with 22 HP, very close to being knocked out. So I think it's time to jump back to the current Grand Finals leader, who only needs one more win to take home victory here. And everybody else trying their best to not let that happen.
No, this is absolutely huge. For whatever reason, the first fight that happened with the Jotun did not go into their favor. And in terms of major upgrades, the next one would probably be getting up to Scoriox. However, trying to actually land that when everybody else is chasing snakes is going to be so damn difficult, to the point where they're at a bit of a stalemate. Can they somehow go up against this other Inferno team and pull it off?
We shall see in a moment. Jotun for now stuck on the Singe, is able to get through, a little bit confused, going left, going right, but it finds its target in the end. Ramfight will not be able to go up into the air. Jotun will fall. Double Artes flying through, and it's gonna be enough for Hologini here.
Wow.
Is he gonna do enough damage? No! Slicks holds on with 1 HP.
Oh my goodness, I've never seen those Pudomas clutch up so... Or the last time I seen a Pudomoth clutch that hard, it was the one of the Olu IPL 500s. But this is still going on. Sota and I'm a Fishy with a very, very tanky battle. It looks like we're going to end up losing I'm a Fishy, actually. Again, the tanky squad just not going to be able to out-DPS this one here from Sota. We're going to lose I'm a Fishy in 5th place.
And here we are. Is it Slicks versus Sota? Yes, it is. Death match right here. One of them goes out. If it's Slicks, we get another tournament round. If it's Sota, Slicks has still a chance. And I think Sota only needs top 3. So also this is for his check position in this checkmate format. And it's the stakes couldn't be higher. Also our other players, Dr. Spoon, Hologini right here. They are both possibly on their last life. And it's gonna be an interesting fight. We're gonna watch Slicks right here. See if the Jotun can carry its weight, which... so far, it seems like it hasn't been able to do so.
It needs that partner. It needs that seer to really get up to full firepower. It's going to try its damnedest. It is trying to chew through these shields, but we're seeing these big heals from the Adorito, doing a fantastic job so far. But does the Jotun get tanked or get targeted? It's now untargetable thanks to the phase breaker. It looks like there's just enough health here. The Adorito going to go down, and now it's just down to the Fur Knight. That's not going to be enough. Sota is going to be out of here. On the other side, we do lose Hologini. Dr. Spoon, you're the last hope here to keep this tournament alive. Otherwise, Slicks in a perfect position to take it all right here, right now. And this is the last round.
Oh my god, it does not get closer than this. Please, Dr. Spoon, take us to game number 5 here. Don't let Slicks get away with a 4-game tournament win here in the Motorverse Cup. It is the final one, the final match against the 6 Fires versus the 6 Fires. Who will be victorious? We'll see in a second.
I mean, the Evolutions might side the Slicks, but Dr. Spoon, we know their team is absolutely fantastic. Let's see how it goes. Arctace has decent power fields on both sides. Infernal Skyfalls from both ramp fights are going to get a little bit, but not too much. But Dr. Spoon, their carries have been hurt too badly. Slicks, it's not over yet. I lied. We've got one more. It's going to be Dr. Spoon versus Slicks. Scoriox upgrade for Dr. Spoon. Keep that thing alive. That's probably going to be the difference maker between whether or not this is a win for Dr. Spoon or not. Keep the Danger Noodle safe.
I'm not sure what's the Danger Noodle, but I agree. We have to get another game here. Dr. Spoon. Oh, it's the Scoriox. Please, Dr. Spoon. Show us your positioning. Show us how you're gonna pull this off versus Slicks, our absolute favorite in the tournament. He needs one more victory to win this tournament right here. You have done such a good job at contesting it, but now it is where it matters. Now it is where it counts. You have to win this match right here for eternal glory in the Illuvium community, in the Lamborghini Automobili Motorverse Cup here. It's gonna be a crazy one. What is there left to upgrade for Slicks? We don't have anything. The Scoriox is out of reach. The Flare upgrading into the Seer is out of reach. Nope, we're not gonna get the Ram fight either. We're not gonna get a Titan or there's nothing coming for Slicks. So it's all gonna be down to positioning here. Keep that Scoriox safe. Let the Jotun get into it. Who can be victorious? Let's see it.
I mean, Dr. Spoon's done a fantastic job of getting that disruptive force reactor, so it doesn't matter if there's any air units. It is never going to stop shooting. It's got that true sight. It's in a fantastic spot. But can it stay alive? As of right now, the ramp fight's the only thing there. It's going to get a little bit of burst damage done thanks to that Infernal Skyfall that brought it down to a quarter HP. It's so damn low. It's going to hang on, though, but it's a massive outplay. Slicks just won the Motorverse Cup in 4.
I'm speechless. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Slicks breaks his curse of the second place. And he comes out victorious in the fastest possible manner, winning the Motorverse Cup in 4 matches here. The only person in checkmate position, and he pulls off a victory after being contested so hard by the full lobby. It is absolutely incredible. Well played. Good job. Congratulations to Slicks, and congratulations to all the other players today playing in this cup.
No, that was absolutely a fantastic one. GG's, everybody. Regardless of what your result ended up being, your efforts over this past month definitely being rewarded one way or another. But oh my gosh, Dr. Spoon, so close to being able to pull that one off. The ramp fight did so much damage. I did not expect that Infernal Skyfall to chunk it down to about a quarter. There was not much wiggle room, but even still, 4 other Illuvials like alive. That Scoriox, I mean, it shoots fast, but it wouldn't have shot that fast. And there's perfect positioning there for Slicks to capitalize. And finally here, like my curse, I guess, against Slicks is finally over. No more second places. Finding a first right when it matters most. And honestly, congratulations. That's absolutely fantastic.
So nice to see. Congratulations to Slicks. He has been here forever. He has been one of the most dominant players in the Illuvium competitive scene. And he was falling short last year in the IPL. So it's great to see him come back here with the hype squad behind him. We're going to check out the scores in a second. And then we still have one little goodie for you all, guys. We have some interviews coming up with hopefully the top 3 players. Definitely we're going to get Slicks on here, see how he's feeling, how he felt about this or how he feels about this victory and the $15,000 he won.
No, absolutely. I can't wait. No, that was awesome.
That was amazing. What a great final moment here. I can't believe it. Obviously, I feel a little bit robbed because I wanted to see more games, but hey, if it has to end, it should end in a fashion like this.
No, absolutely. And there was a reason why a lot of us had Slicks kind of ask the easy answer in regards to who to go for this tournament. And they kind of just proved exactly just why, because not only are they going to win this because of checkmate format, but just look at the amount of points difference. They didn't drop off the podium once this grand final.
Yeah, definitely one word describes his victory here, which is deserved. There is no luck. There is just raw
100%.
skill. His team was obviously up to pars, but everyone's else collections were also able to pull off a victory. But it was his skill level that made the difference here. First game, he was third, then a victory, then third again, and then a victory to close it all out with a gap of 7 points. That's a full second place between first and second place. Everyone else is fairly close together, right? You can really see a big difference here. So I'm stoked. I'm really stoked for him, and pulling this off is really amazing. Big respect to him. Yeah, how did the other players perform?
I mean, it was still very, very good. I was expecting Soda to be up there as well. So them being there in second place, no surprise to me at all. I'm a fishy, especially early on in this tournament. It looked like they were going to go for an absolute tear. It kind of fell off a little bit towards the tail end, but still able to hold on to third. And Dr. Spoon, those last two games were absolutely fantastic. Cannot argue with 2 second places in a row. If this ends up being it for Doc, that this is still ending off on a high note, in my opinion. Congratulations there. Lamborghini Hype, again, another player that started off so hot early, but unfortunately fell off in the mid, but got third in that last game. Going to bump them up a little bit. And then I have to give props to Hasu. If we remember from chat in the qualifier yesterday, so not even the grand finals just today, but even in the top 16, they said to themselves, I don't think my team has the levels for this, or I don't think my team is good enough to make it. They've made it into the grand finals, and heck, they've made it all the way up to 6th there today. Congratulations, Hasu. Might have been the underdog of sorts, but you definitely didn't play like it. Congratulations there. Detective Alan having a rough couple of games there for game 2 and game 4, but still going to end up 7th overall. And then Nariba, they're having a hard time, but they made it this far. That's an accomplishment in its own right. I hope everybody's had a fun time.
Yes, sir. You love to see it. Big shout out to the players that kept their cool. For example, Sota, again, first game a loss and then pulled out to be second place in the end. Dr. Spoon able to get into the top 4 in his first ever final attendance in the competitive Illuvium scene, which is huge. Able to win the tiebreaker, which was decided by his last match's performance, where he went just above Hollow by 1 spot. Just by pulling in second in the last game, he was able to win the tiebreaker against Hollow, which is probably the second most favorite player after Slicks, with Sota up there. Well, they're all great. This was such a high-level competition. I love to see it. But yeah, one player stands out. It is Slicks. And we're going to get him onto the interview desk very soon. So we're going to take a 2-3 minute break to set everything up. And then we're going to be back with the player interviews in just a bit. See you there. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for waiting. We have the top 3 finalists right here with us, and we're going to conduct a little interview with them. We're going to start with the 3rd place. I'm a fishy right here. I think he should be all set up. Let's see if he is here. Hello there.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
There we go. I'm a fishy. First and foremost, awesome to see it back into the arena. Loved watching it back in action here in the Illuvium arena. How are you feeling? Congratulations on that 3rd place finish. How are you feeling for it?
Yeah, thanks. My whole journey in Illuvium is so great. I always love to play it, and this tournament also was really interesting.
No, it's definitely awesome. I'm curious about your Illuvium journey as well, because of course we saw you a lot during the Illuvium Pro League, then took a little bit of a time off. Of course, this tournament comes up. What was the training arc sort of like when you were heard about the tournament and hopping back into the swing of things? Did you have a lot of leveling to do?
I actually rented my deck from Sir Dexter.
That works.
Sir Dexter, and I really appreciate it. Big thanks to him. I didn't really love this project since IPL. I always was following all the news, but I just didn't play Ranked. But since there was an announcement about Lamborghini tournament, I started playing it, and that was fun.
That is fair.
Nope,
yeah, big shout out to Sir Dexter Morgan. He has been providing a lot. He is one of the biggest collectors, and I'm glad his deck helped you to victory. Did you feel like maybe 1 or 2 Illuvials that you have weren't perfect and that made a difference, or didn't it matter if it was level 50 or level 60?
I don't know. My deck were pretty strong. Yeah, some of Illuvials wasn't really perfect, so some of builds I didn't really wanted to play, but that was enough to compete against top players. So really big thanks to Sir Dexter. He also was supporting me for the whole way. So big thanks to him.
And I wanted to point out, because in lobbies that were just full of inferno, full of firepower, full of rogues and whatnot, I hardly see you dabble into that like at all. It's always heavy water and maybe potentially Aegis. What was their mindset going towards that strategy in particular?
I just really don't like to contest builds, so usually I play something another. But in the group stage, I played fires, I played rogues, but here just so many players love it, so I have to play something another.
Yeah, that is fair. That's a good take, because maybe you can disrupt someone else, but you're gonna screw up your own gameplay. So it often doesn't help contesting other players. About the prize money, it's $5,000. Do you have any plans with it? Are you gonna save it all, put it in a saving account? Are you gonna go out for dinner with friends, family? What's the plan?
Yeah, we'll celebrate this 3rd place. It was a good tournament for me, and yeah, I'll spend the time with my family and friends.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear. Well, thank you for coming on for the interview. Congratulations on your great finish in this tournament. I'm sure we're going to see more of you as soon as there is hopefully more tournaments. Until then, I wish you all the best. And yeah, we'll see you. Congratulations.
Yeah, big thanks to you. Also, I really enjoy your work. Silent and Buzz, you're always really good at your deal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and congrats once again.
Thanks.
All right, that was 3rd place. 21 years young and already the mindset of a champion.
Yeah, very consistent, and I love the non-combative strategy, so to speak. It's like, okay, if this is going to be the most popular team, what's the best thing I can make that's not that? And just taking it that way as far as you can. That was pretty cool to see.
Yes, sir. Very soon we're going to get our 2nd place Sota here onto the interview desk. We're just going to set it up in the back end, and we're going to have him over here in less than a minute. What are you most interested about knowing from him, Salen?
Like, First and foremost, again, well, the congratulations on getting second. That's still absolutely incredible. But what the heck happened game one? Because that was the major difference maker between there being one person in check and two going into game number 4. And also, again, for Sota as well, of course, I've been labeling them as the master of rogues for this entire time. I don't think we saw rogue come out from Sota at all, which on one hand, awesome. You're not a one trick and you're absolutely killing it. But what was maybe rogue missing that was getting us there? So speaking of which, there's Sota. Hello, congratulations.
The master of rogues has arrived that didn't play rogues.
Yeah, exactly. So first game, I was playing. It's not the best weapon when you play corner, and Slicks was contesting me and was playing a better weapon than mine. Plus, I think I rolled. My units were contested by everyone, and I rolled after everyone. So my gold efficiency was very low, and also I made some mistakes. So it was. A lot of factors combined together, and also I faced the rogues just after they power spec'd, just after they got their stage 3, and I was beating them before. So a bit of a lot of bad things combined together.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
so
I'll give you props. You didn't. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, keep going.
All right. I say I'll give you props because ever since on game 1, though, you were on an absolute tear. Of course, the second place, first place, and then wrapping things up here with a 4th. So you were definitely. I'll give you props for not letting it shake you really at all. It just came up swinging for the rest of it. But can you tell me about just the pivoting here? Because again, I label you as Master of Rogues. You didn't play it whatsoever, but you had more corner-based team compositions, which is way different than I know you for. How was it like raising and training on a new team?
Actually, I never played only rogues, only like 1.5 years ago. But I pretend to play only rogues, but actually I always play 2 or 3 teams. And this time I didn't play them because I think that they are very risky. If you are contested, before last year when they were S tier, you could play them, sit on your stage 2s with Stabin, and you could survive and even have a win streak up until round 23. But now if you wait until round 23, you're probably dead. Because Stabin is good, but it's not enough now. You need your stage 3s way earlier. And if you are contested by another rogue player, your average goes down by a lot. So you could have good games if you are uncontested, but there were too many players going for rogues. Nariba was spamming rogues, and other players, like I think that Align also plays a lot of rogues.
Yeah.
So I knew already right away that I would probably not play rogues unless I have the chance that nobody will play them. But so no, it was not the case.
Yeah, and even if you are somewhat uncontested, someone could still come in with another weapon and re-roll the weapon. And even if it's just 2 players on the rogues, it feels like they really fight with each other. Well, we've seen it a lot. Players going out in last and second last place. The 2 rogue players are out, like in last game. So I think, it's definitely a little bit of a riskier play at the moment. Were you down to take risks after the first game, or after the first game you were like all or nothing, like I'm gonna push for it, or were you trying to just get top 4 consistently?
Yeah, that's interesting because I thought about it, and I thought, no, I still have a bit of time. Now I will play more risky if I have to, but moderately more risky. I'm not in a situation where I have to all in and play 1 or 8th.
Yeah, because you came out as second in the end. Like now you would have been in a check position with 4 other players, and next round you would have had a decent chance of winning the tournament. So it got really close. In the end, Slicks was just victorious. Even so many people contested him. Did you personally try to contest him a little bit, take some mules away from him, or did you just play your own game?
To be honest, I was trying to beat Fishy because we had the same amount of points. And I actually early game I did something that I never do, which is I was level 4, Fishy was level 5, but I had good upgrades potentially. So I decided to go from level 4 to level 6 right away just to beat him. And so no, I didn't really think about, I contest units of other people only when I have money to spare. But in this game, I was I was just praying to survive.
No, fair enough. And it was a good move because in the end of the day, it is going to push you over into second compared to third. So big congratulations there. Is there any other thoughts that you, or any final thoughts before we close things out here for the day?
How are you going to use the money? $8,000.
Oh, that's
Oh yeah. I'm going to pay the bills. Sorry, because I was I was hoping that I would win this to pay the bills. So now I can finally pay them.
Heck yeah! So you are a pro player. You are professional gamer right here, paying the bills with the tournament.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and maybe buy a few Illuviums. Because Dr. Spoon is still ahead of me in the collection leaderboard, so I need to buy big Titan or maybe a bigger door. Yes.
Nice.
That's awesome. Any last shoutouts before we let you go?
Oh yeah, thanks. Big shout out to Slicks, who is my coach, and without whom I would probably have performed way worse. And when I say this, there are some suspicions in the chat, so I'm not talking about any kind of shady things. I'm talking about basically everything I know about the game comes from Slicks. So big shout out to my sensei.
Sensei! Awesome. That is very wholesome to hear. Congratulations on second place, and all the best to you.
Thank you.
Sensei Slicks.
Good to see Soto right back where they left off, so to speak, in high level play. And then, yeah, Sensei Slicks. I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Very wholesome to hear that Slicks has been mentoring and coaching his fellow competitors here. We're going to set up things to talk to the champion of this tournament, of the Motorverse Cup, Slicks, in just a second. The one that robbed us of another game, stole away more Illuvium tournaments from games from us.
Hey, thing is, like, may have robbed us of another game, but the thing was that it was just an absolutely beautifully done, clinical performance here coming out there from Slicks, and I'm super excited that finally I get to cast him in a big event where he's not second. He gets to score first finally, and a very well-deserved first. To be able to sweep a checkmate format like this is not something we see very often, so to do it like this is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, if the tournament has to end after 4 games, I would not want it to end any other way. Slicks absolutely dominated this last game, even though he was heavily contested, and it was such a clutch moment for the victory in the end versus Dr. Spoon there in the one-on-one with his showdown, even though Dr. Spoon found the Scoriox. So yeah, let's join in with Slicks and see what he thinks about his final moments and the victory in this tournament. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Congratulations.
Hello, congratulations, Slicks.
Thanks. It felt really good.
I can imagine.
It was definitely overdue. I was just mentioning to Paz a second ago, the amount of times I've cast you in big moments where you've been second so often. Finally, we get you a first here in an absolute big time scenario. So just first off, congratulations, and how does that feel?
Yeah, it feels amazing to finally win something big. It's been a while since I won something big, so that feels really nice. I was actually so stressed out the last game. I did, to be honest, I didn't play that good, but it was enough.
Well, it felt like you had a lot of things going for you, at least right off of round 4. You got the strike boomerang. We saw that was a very popular weapon overall there, or throughout the entire tournament. But especially into the later rounds, where did it click to go for Behemoth instead of forcing Arcanites? Because a lot of players would have just kept rolling for Scoriox in that situation, but you opted a different route. What clicked to make that happen?
Yeah, I was scared of the water player. I don't remember who played water, but someone played water, and I was thinking that's the biggest threat to me, the water player. And Uton is better versus water than what Scoriox is. Then it's of course what you find in the shop. The snake is much more contested also, which makes it harder to get than Uton. And I think it was only Spoon who went for the polar bear, so it was a lot easier to hit as well.
Yeah, in the end, he found even the Scoriox, but it seemed to have no impact. Do you think it was a positional difference where you were able to get to the Scoriox and shut it down early enough before it could ramp up? Or was your team just straight up stronger?
I would say some part positioning, but I also think he picked Arcanite Emblem and I picked Inferno. And I think in the fire matchup, Inferno Emblem is better if you don't have the big birds for 4 Arcanite. So I think the 3 Inferno helped a lot as well. Because his snake can never stay alive versus 3 Inferno. It will just die eventually.
I remember even the ramp fight took it down to about half just by itself, let alone anything else. It was definitely incredible. But you pulled off something that is basically a gamer's dream as well, because you won this entire thing with 1 HP. When you dropped down to 1 HP, what was going through your mind?
I actually wasn't sure if I was going to die or not. I was like, I think I'm alive with 1 HP, but I wasn't 100% sure, and I was like, oof. But I didn't think I would win that game, because I lost my win streak really early in the game. Not early, but mid-game, where I made my Lynx get stuck behind my entire backline, and I leveled for it. So yeah, that was a super big mistake. And after that, I was like, oh, I can't win anymore. Now I just have to play for position. But then in the end game, I noticed everyone was weak, so I could actually play for the win.
Yeah, that was we saw that too. You were one of the only ones giving up a little bit of the economy to push your advantage on the board and for the win streak, and then you lost it, and it looked a bit dire, but you quickly recuperated to 60 mastery points. So it felt like you made the best out of the situation. Also, I think you didn't have much luck early on with your rolls, and then you were contested. So yeah, definitely a great feat pulling victorious out of this game. It's probably the hardest game you can fight when you're the only one in a check position.
Yeah, it's so hard, like deja vu experience from that.
Yes, sir. Do you have plans? There you go.
I'm actually gonna take a little bit of vacation. I haven't had that in a while. I told myself if I get top 3, I will go on a vacation.
Oh yeah,
you not work for a while.
Definitely deserve it. It's very important to be able to enjoy the spoils of your war, so to say, and then be able to really, treat yourself and not just work on the next tournament already.
Yeah. So that's
now the question in regards to your team itself, because of course the Motorverse Cup gets announced, we start seeing you a lot as of late. What kind of training did you have to do? Did you have many alluvials you had to level up, or were you pretty much set up? Did anybody help you with the team?
I rented a deck from Brain Freeze Exhibit. And his deck was pretty good, but I have leveled some stuff in it to get it up to almost 60. I had a Ryan 58 and I had some stuff still missing, but most of it was good from the start, but I tried to get it as high as possible because maybe that was that extra 1 HP there.
That's it, huh?
Honestly, you never know.
Yeah, looking back, any level could have made the difference. It's as close as it gets, but in the end, I think nobody can argue this was something luck-based because you finished with 7 points higher than the second place, so that's a win. Mm-hmm. It's a landslide win, so yeah, congratulations, definitely deserved.
Thank you, and thanks for hosting.
Always. Do you have any last shout-outs before we let you go?
Yeah, I can shout out my girlfriend. She's also always super supportive when I'm playing, so I do appreciate that a lot. So a shout out to Michaela, and I love you.
Yeah, very wholesome in the end. Sensei Slicks right here, clutching it, or not clutching it, dominating the tournament today in first place. Congratulations, and I'm sure we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, if a tournament's going to end in 4 like that, if Checkmate's going to end in 4, a dominating win like that speaks volumes. So again, congratulations to Slicks on a fantastic tournament. Well played.
Amazing. Love to see it. It was, again, I'm maybe sad that it wasn't longer, but I would have been sad even if it was 6 games and then it ends. Like, I can never get enough, especially if the competition is so fierce and so high level, and you can really see people play their hearts out and overperform and underperform, crumble under the stress, or really grow with it. And it's just such a lovely thing to see. Yeah. Very, very amazing. We're going to have some more tournaments coming up, or at least some competitive efforts. I think, Silent, you're hosting your weekly, well, you say it.
Yep. Yeah, we do have, or I do host House League every Friday afternoon. It's just a free to enter event. Like, you don't have to pay a single thing to even get in there. But the idea is that you're competing in a match-made lobby. I see what your collection score is of all of your alluvials, and I try to put you in the closest knit lobby so no one ever gets blown out. And as a prize of that, of course, Illuvium came in huge by providing fuel for auto drone runs, and then Illuvium Beyond prizing as well. So even if you're a newcomer that does not have any alluvials whatsoever, I put you in a lobby with other people who either have no alluvials or very few. And heck, it's probably the only way to get alluvials free to play currently in the Illuvium universe. So if you saw or if you saw the game here today for the first time, potentially you want to give it a shot, that might be a nice entry point to come on through there. So I'd absolutely love to have you. I stream everything as well, and we keep a friendly but competitive effort every single week, as many weeks as possible. So the tournament might be done, doesn't mean that your story here in Arena has to.
Yes, sir. That is awesome. Thank you, Silent, for those grassroots efforts, carrying on the torch that we have lit so many years ago with small tournaments and stuff like this over the different game modes and everything. Maybe the market and Web3 gaming, it might not be in the highest high right now, but Illuvium is consistently surviving, and we're here and we're having fun and we're playing and the game is amazing. Thank you. Big shout out to Illuvium and to the team who is giving it all every day, all day to make the best game possible. And it really shows. We have seen such a beautiful competition here, which is almost all games can never have what we had today. A really competitive, beautiful tournament with their game. Big shout out to Lamborghini Automobili, who this partnership
Absolutely
was originally with Illuvium, and not only Arena, but Illuvium Beyond with the Illuvitars, bringing it then to the Illuvium Arena with the Motorverse Cup was amazing as well. So big shout out to Motorverse as well. And big shout out to you for joining and being here with us. It was amazing to see so many Illuvium players and so many Illuvium community members come in and celebrate competitive Illuvium together. Big shout out to the team in the back end, as always. And I think that is it. I'm sure I forget someone, but hey, we know you're there and we appreciate you.
Hey, same to you though as well for hosting and then for putting the stream on as well. It's a lot to balance, and you're doing fantastic. So I thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Of course, I wouldn't want anyone else here. You are a legend. And with that, we're gonna go out with the end screen and some highlights that will also come online on our YouTube channels, on our Twitch, Twitter, all the different social media. You can check us out, and we'll have some tournament highlights. We also have some dev talks coming up with Perry, the game director of the MMO, next week. So join the Discord, join the journey. We love to have you, and we'll see you next time. Until then, all the best. That was it for us from the Motorverse Cup here at Illuvium.